The next question goes to Barbara Merrill. What do you think is the role of state government in resolving the ongoing conflicts over access to and management of the Allagash Wilderness Waterway?
Thank you. I stand by my vote last session. The Allagash is a treasure, but the words of Theodore Roosevelt III still ring in my ears when he spoke last year at an event sponsored by the League of Conservation Voters. And at the time, he told us all that the environmental agenda will not be embraced by rural Americans as long as they consider it a threat to their way of life. The residents of the Allagash deserve traditional access to the waterway. This is not carte blanche to destroy the wild character. Rather, it was a narrow exception for local people. There's a group of people looking at the Allagash Waterway. I am looking forward to their recommendations, but we need to remember the words of Teddy Roosevelt III.
Thank you. John Baldacci.
The fight over the Allagash in the legislature was very unfortunate. It did not reflect well on the state, and it was something that I think that the legislature needs to reconsider. That's why I did not sign the legislation, because I wanted to bring the parties together and establish the working group to come back with a recommendation about the overall management of the Allagash and be able to get it back on track. It is a special and pristine area, and I think all citizens want to protect that, because that's something, once it's undone, you can never replicate.
Thank you very much. Pat LaMarche?
One of my first experiences in the North Woods was flying over the Allagash. It wasn't on the ground or canoeing in it like so many other people's. And for those of you who have had the opportunity to do that, it looks like a big mohawk. You know, there's a whole pile of trees on either side of the water, and then there's nothing on either side of that. And I've decided that a beauty strip is exactly how far a Boy Scout from New York can see. That's the measurement they use. If the Boy Scout from New York can't see through the trees to see that the forests are gone, that's how big you make the beauty strip. So to me, it's extremely important that we start looking at the Allagash Wilderness Waterway and everything around it for what it is, which is the Hope Diamond. All of our pristine, somehow preserved this far, natural resources are as valuable as the Hope Diamond, which we keep under lock and key with 2 armed guards at the Museum of Natural History. They're just so big that we have trouble seeing them as a gem. We have trouble understanding just how limited such a beautiful and incredibly unique and rare thing this is in our planet, and we need to start to preserve them. I was very disappointed with the shenanigans of our elected officials going up there with chainsaws and bulldozers and pushing their way through after an agreement had been struck. I think we need to keep our agreements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philip Morris Napier.
Could you restate the question?
The question is, what do you think is the role of state government in resolving the ongoing conflicts around access to and management of the Allagash Wilderness Waterway?
My take on state government is we want the government to do those things that we as individuals do not have the ability to do or do not want to do. And our state government must look at the whole picture, and our economy is based on our beauty up here in Maine. We attract millions and millions of people up here just because of the geography of our nation, or of our state. And the whole northwestern state is just absolutely gorgeous. I have hunted up there in years past, and we have to preserve our land as best as we can. We people are spread out all over the place, but we would all be better served, I think, to stay in a more tightly confined area and leave the open spaces for every one of us to roam in as we please. And the whole Allagash area is beautiful. I treasure it like every one of us should, and I'm sure do. We all got to work, like I said earlier, as a team to make everything better for every one of us. And everything is possible if we all work together to make it happen.
Thank you. And Chandler Woodcock.
Thank you. I, too, would join Pat in criticizing the chainsaw episode that happened in the Allagash Wilderness Waterway. I don't think it was the intent of the legislature that we have a rogue attempt at altering the landscape around the Allagash Waterway. 40 years ago, next summer, I canoed the Allagash as a young man. It was a fantastic voyage for me, and I've canoed most of the rivers in that portion of the state of Maine as I have participated in outdoor activities for over 50 years in Maine. I was surprised, frankly, as a state senator, sitting in the chamber that evening, that we did have a lack of a roll call on that vote. I think many of you were in the room when that happened, and I knew at the time that there was some negotiations taking place with the upcoming bill on the Katahdin Lake project. So I think there were some difficult moments for all of us in the complicated process of negotiation for the two bills and some people who are working behind the scenes to make a connectivity between those two bills. Thanks.
Thank you.